E aí pessoal, beleza? Bom, hoje tô aqui para mais um vídeo da série de Genshin Impact. Vamos continuar, né? Se você quiser ver essa série desde o início, eu vou deixar um card aqui em cima. E, se puder, se inscrever no canal e ativar o sininho, ajuda demais. Beleza, pessoal? E aí, vai falar? Não?
Osmanthus wine tastes the same as I remember. But where are those who share the memory?
É isso aí. Vamos lá. Recompensa das missões. E hoje nós vamos seguir missão de história, que missão de Arconte, né? Que expliquei no vídeo passado, né? Não vou voltar para essa missão enquanto não tiver personagem para testar no banner, beleza? Assim que aparecer personagem para testar no banner, eu volto para essa missão aqui, tá bom? No caso a sequência será dessa daqui. Mas vamos aqui agora, ó. Santuário decrépito. O pássaro noturno se retira com o cair das cortinas. Vá para o santuário de Surastana para procurar por mais informações sobre seu parente. Você e Paimon decidem visitar Nárida no santuário de Surastana mais uma vez. Durante o caminho, você escuta pessoas discutindo sobre algo. Olha aí. Oh, importante aí. Vamos saber sobre a nossa irmã. Vamos lá. Voltar para a missão do Arconte, mas vou voltar no futuro para aquelas missões que eu tava fazendo, tá bom? O que estão falando aí, mano?
Come on, serious suggestions, please. I'm not trying to write a thriller here. It's supposed to be an essay, you understand? An essay.
Acaba,
That means
cara.
fact.
Well, if it's facts and logic you're after, you shot yourself in the foot with your choice of research topic, didn't you? The Tataris Suna mystery. When so much remains unexplained, there's little to be objective about. Unless, of course, you restrict yourself to textual criticism.
Yeah, well, this is my teacher's area of research. I can't change that. But it's fascinating enough without having to sensationalize it, don't you think? The strange location, the missing I want to write my essay on something interesting, and I'm interested in getting to the bottom of all this. That's the only reason I came to you.
Yes, you came to me. So all the more reason to take my advice. The fact is, it's the dramatization that will make people want to read it. There's no getting around that.
Okay.
Acaba, cara. Perdeu a discussão.
Did one of them just mention Tatarasuna? But that's all the way in Inazuma! Is it just Paimon, or is it kinda unusual for someone in Sumeru to want to write a paper about that? Everyone here is just going about their business. Maybe it really is just Paimon. Guess people here are free to research pretty much anything.
Mesmo assim, vamos prestar atenção.
Great! Let's go find out what this Tataras...
Daí iniciamos ato 3. Pare com os estudiosos. E aí, pessoalzinho?
Alright, I guess I'll go with my textual criticism and your editorial direction for the first draft. I have a feeling that the missing Kabuki Mono will end up being the main focus of this paper. Ugh, if only we knew where to find that traveler. From what they say about him, this seems like the kind of thing he'd know about.
E aí, tudo bom? Procurando por mim?
Oh, you're the traveler, you say?
É.
Hey, what's with that face? Don't believe us?
Se não acredita, eu vou embora. A verdade é
No,
essa.
no, of course I believe you. Actually, I first heard about your great exploits when I was still in Inazuma.
Ou vocês vão escrever um livro sobre minha história, seria muito bom, tá? Não ia recusar não, tá bom?
This is my first time coming face to face with you and your mysterious silver-haired companion. I couldn't believe my luck, and out of force of habit, I started, examining the evidence.
Oh, Sawada, for the love of... Sorry, we don't get out much, so our social skills are...
Certo.
Traveler, I hear you've helped many people a great deal and been to many places. Would you...
Actually, we don't know much about that place either. In fact, we only came over here because we heard you talking about it and wanted...
I see.
Desculpe por não poder ajudar desta vez.
My teacher chose this area of research as a personal challenge. He said it's difficult to get into because even Inazumans don't know much about Tatarasuna's past. But who'd have thought that...
If you don't mind, I'd love to show you all my outline for the book I'm writing about Tatarasuna.
Pode falar então.
Hold
Seria
on,
bom.
Sawada. Don't you think that's a bit of a deep dive for a first read?
Well, fair point. In that case, please ease yourselves in gently by taking a look at Akaba's latest essay draft.
Let me give you some background. This all started with the discovery of some records in Tatarasuna. The writings mentioned someone by the name of Mikoshi Nagamasa, who crafted a fine blade. But in the end, he threw it into a fire to destroy it, and killed his servant Katsuragi. Why?
Ô, louco.
Well, no one knows. Apart from the sword maker, his servant, and the one who wrote this all down, the records also mention a kabuki mono. This seems to be an Inazuman word for an eccentric stranger, someone who dresses funny or acts in...
That's right. Akaba's teacher has spent quite some time researching these events on the ground. This Kabukimono lived in Tatarasuna for a while before disappearing without a trace. And shortly afterwards, as Akaba mentioned...
So first this strange person goes missing, then a murder happens?
Yes, my thoughts exactly. So I helped out too. I asked everyone I could think of if they knew anything about what happened back then. And wow! Did I get lucky!
Então conta, cara. Quanto mais informação, melhor.
Shouting!
Que isso?
This part's important. I just wanted to make it stand out.
Conseguiu.
It just so happens that a friend of mine works at the Government Records Office. He looked into it for me, and I can now confirm that all the aforementioned individuals did, in fact, live in Inazuma over 400 years ago.
Tá.
Even back then, Tatarasuna was already at the center of Inazuma's smelting industry. The man in charge was a government official named Niwa. Curiously enough, it seems like he went missing too.
Será que...
Wait, so there are two missing people in this story now?
That's right! What's more, Niwa is a name with a lot of history to it. Have you ever heard of the great swordsmith clans of Inazuma?
Teve, se não me engano, uma missão com... Acho que era o Kazuha, não sei se era o Kazuha. Enfim, tem um personagem que a família dele é conhecida por ser uma família que produz espadas e tudo mais, né?
Oh, the swordsmiths? Yeah, like Ishin art and so on?
Eu lembro da missão lá em Inazuma, que tinha as famílias que faziam, sabe, espada e tudo mais pra Shogun Raiden, né?
Wow, yes, you really know your stuff. That makes things easier. So basically, this Niwa was a distant relative of the Kaidahara clan, the
Eu acho que é esse clã aí mesmo.
of Ishin art.
Esse clã mesmo do cara lá, eu esqueci o nome do personagem que é desse clã. Eu acho que é o Kazuha, mas não tenho certeza não.
Something then seems to have happened in the Kaidahara clan, leading to their downfall. I don't know the details, but taken in light of everything else going on around that time, it makes you wonder whether it's all connected somehow.
The Kaidahara clan?
Sawada, you left out the biggest detail of all.
Tem mais?
Oh, yes, of course. How could I forget? Brace your minds, ladies and gents, for they are about to be blown. Or maybe you won't believe your ears. I wouldn't blame you, of course, because in all...
Get to the point, for Pete's sake.
According to information acquired by Akaba's teacher, the Kabukimono was not a human, but a puppet.
Tá. Então... Era o Scaramouche, né? A não ser que haja... A não ser que... Era a outra... Shogun Raiden lá, que são duas, uma é a marionete, né? É um dos dois, eu acho que é o Scaramouche.
A puppet?
A marionete da Shogun, que a Arconte Elétrico fez, deve estar governando Inazuma com ela enquanto conversamos. Não poderia ser ela, eu pensei nela. Pensei em duas opções, ou ela, ou Scaramouche. Deve ser Scaramouche. O que ele estava fazendo 400 anos atrás em Tataraçuna?
Aha! Judging by the looks on your faces, you do know
Ele
something
estava lá
after all.
procurando uma gnose, que ele só pensa nisso.
Uh,
Encarar Paimon e esperar que ela fique calada, o louco.
no! Paimon just meant, how creepy.
I agree, it does. But considering that non-human races in Inazuma are by no means uncommon, spooky events are to be expected. And that's exactly what my book is about. Please, take a look.
Ok. Galera, teve um corte aí, eu li isso aqui tudo, não vou ler junto com vocês, que ia ficar muito grande, mas eu li. Pelo que eu entendi, conta uma história. E, tipo, daquele clã antigo, né? Que fazia lá espadas muito bem, né? Teve uma missão sobre ele. E é Kaidehara o nome do clã, né? São 3 clãs que faziam espadas. Kaidehara é um deles. Estavam lá fazendo espadas, pelo que eu entendi. Aí chegou um garoto lá. Que, pelo que eu entendi, é o Scaramouche. Depois de ser abandonado pela Shogun Raiden. Entendi isso. Aí o líder do clã Kaidehara adotou o Scaramouche. Adotou ele, certo? No caso ainda não era Scaramouche, né? Ele era só uma marionete, né? Tô explicando o que eu entendi, porque ia ficar muito longo aqui. Só que aí, a partir do momento que ele adotou, trevas caíram sobre o vilarejo, Tataraçuna e tudo mais, entendeu? Eu acho que essas trevas era a Shogun Raiden tentando eliminar a marionete que ela criou. Que o próprio Scaramouche falou, né, que ele é uma marionete, né? E a própria mãe dele, que criou ele, tentou matar ele, alguma coisa assim, não é isso? Enfim. Mas aí o cara adotou o Scaramouche, veio o problema lá, tentando destruir o Scaramouche, acabou destruindo também as pessoas do clã. O Scaramouche sobreviveu, até porque ele apareceu na missão, né? É o que eu entendi. Então, o clã Kaidehara teve o seu fim, que só faltam poucas pessoas do clã ainda vivas, né? Pelo que eu lembro da missão lá que a gente fez. Mas, inclusive o líder deles, o Niva, também teve o seu fim nessa tragédia aí, em que chegou o Scaramouche e ele trouxe coisa ruim pro vilarejo lá pra Tataraçuna, entendeu? Aí veio a Shogun Raiden tentando levar ele. Aqui eles explicam como se fosse uma nuvem escura. Mas eu acho que era a Shogun Raiden tentando eliminar ele, né? Que era uma marionete que meio que não deu certo, não é isso? Mas enfim, é mais ou menos isso aí. Eu não vou ler tudo junto com vocês, que fica muito longo, eu li rapidão aqui. E é mais ou menos isso que eu entendi, tá bom? Mas tá escrito aqui que é uma história, ó. Ficção fantasiosa, mas geralmente é o que aconteceu mesmo nesse jogo, né? Se eu expliquei alguma coisa errada, comentem aí, né? Que eu entendi é isso, tá bom? Vamos lá.
Oh, and please read my essay draft as well.
Uma análise sobre a possível grande relevância histórica de Tataraçuna e Inazuma. Então, vou ler e vou cortar e vou falar o que é, entendeu? O que eu acho que é, tá bom? Tentar entender que às vezes eu não entendo. Voltei, galera, eu li isso aqui tudo e aqui confirma que realmente o Kabukimono, acho o nome do cara, né? Que é uma pessoa que se veste de forma extravagante, é sim a marionete, que no caso é o Scaramouche, certo? E tipo, ele foi encontrado lá nas praias de Tataraçuna, coisa assim. Muitas vezes no centro também, só que ele sempre ficava olhando para Inazuma. Scaramouche foi feito lá, né? Enfim. E fala aqui que tem o Kabukimono, que é o Scaramouche, né? Ele foi levado para Tataraçuna por um cara que é o Katsuragi. Só que o Scaramouche, por ser uma marionete recém-criada, digamos assim, não sabia fazer nada. Aí o povo de Tataraçuna ensinou ele tudo o que tem que fazer, entendeu? Ensinou ele. E é isso, só fala isso. Fala que a região tem muita indústria e tudo mais. Fala também do início, tipo, fala do início das famílias das espadas, sabe? Tinham 3 famílias que criavam lâminas, forjavam lâminas e eram muito fortes, certo? Mais ou menos isso. Tá vendo? Ó? Confirma aqui, ó, Shogun Raiden, ela deu habilidades especiais para essas famílias, né? Construírem espadas, eram 3 famílias principais, tudo mais. E era isso, não tem muito mais o que falar aqui não, tá bom? Eu não vou ler junto com vocês, porque fica muito longo, mas eu falei o que eu entendi, beleza? Posso ter entendido alguma coisa errada, mas o principal é mais ou menos isso aí.
Sawada was encouraging me to follow his more creative approach, but I think essays should be grounded in facts. I don't think explaining everything away with Ooh, how about if I plug the holes in Sawada's narrative with political intrigue? Like, I could put a turf war between rival...
Wait, you're allowed to just make stuff up? Pretty sure you've gone from essay to guessay there.
Parece uma light novel. Será que esse cara já escreveu um ensaio antes?
Akaba, look. Your teacher has researched this extensively. I've reached out to everyone I could think of. Whatever information we have now is all that there is to know. Besides, if there really was a political power struggle going on at anything like the level you seem to be suggesting, what hope would we ever have of finding out the...
good point. Okay, back to the drawing board, I guess. Give me some time.
Deixarei vocês trabalharem.
Stuff to do, so we'll have to say goodbye for now. Good luck.
All right, thank you. If you find out any more info about all this, please...
Tá falando mais do início dos Scaramouche, como é que foi e tudo mais, né? E fala também dos clãs que criavam espadas lá.
It has to do with the balladeer, doesn't it?
Sim.
Okay, then even if we did know something about it, we probably couldn't share it with them. After all, we kicked his butt and got him locked up. Information about people like that is usually super If you ask Paimon, Akaba should just pick a different topic. There must be as many essay topics as there are trees in the forest.
Quem é? Que houve?
Hey, did you see that? He literally just went by, over there. It looked like...
Ah, os Scaramouche.
The balladeer! No, it can't have been. He got locked up. Oh, quick, let's catch up and see. Paimon, there you are.
Pai, são vocês?
Bad news. We just saw the balladeer strolling around in public. Did he escape or... Ah! It's him!
Sure enough, you're here.
Hey! What are you doing in the sanctuary of Suristana? Aren't you supposed to be locked up? I know you must have a lot of questions. Please, allow me to explain. It was my idea to set the balladeer free. We made a deal, and he's gonna do some investigation in Irminsul for me.
Tá.
A deal? Huh. You sure you trust this guy?
What did you expect? Why do you think Sumeru would keep me around otherwise? Or maybe killing me is all you can think about. But if that's the case, why haven't you done it already?
Don't flatter yourself. It was... Nahida said there's still some mysteries in you to figure
Sim.
out.
So if it were up to you, you'd finish the job? Guess I had you all wrong. There I was thinking you were just getting cold.
Well, that escalated quickly. Not a good start. But Paimon's worried about you, Nahida. Don't let him trick you.
It's not every day you see people questioning the God of Wisdom's judgment. Just when you think...
Don't you dare try to drive a wedge between us! As long as the terms are reasonable, I don't think there's a problem in making a deal. Even with the balladeer.
Well, I for one have no reason to doubt you, considering you even struck a deal with the doctor.
Yes, one in which I gained valuable information. You'll come to understand more about that. The balladeer's power was all but completely spent after your battle. He's no longer strong enough to be a strategic threat to us. Plus,
He's a former Harbinger with knowledge of many of the Fatui's sensitive secrets.
Verdade.
Being stuck here in Sumeru could make him a sitting duck, depending on how the Fatui plan to respond.
Wait a second. Farmer? You mean he's not a
I take no pleasure in saying this, but it seems as if the doctor had no intention of welcoming back a loser, so...
Ele já foi abandonado antes, né? O Scaramouche também. Então ele te descartou como se fosse lixo.
Sometimes it's you using them, other times it's them using you. Most human relationships are this way. Certainly all the stable ones are. That's how it was between me and the Fatui, and also between each of the Harbingers. So as long as you have some value to offer, nobody will ever abandon you. But after recent events, even I have to admit that I'm not worth quite what I used to
Que
be.
peninha, cara.
Well, if the Fatui are gonna reevaluate my utility, I need to have a backup plan for myself.
As we discussed, I don't like causing harm to living beings, and you said you need protection. So, what?
I think these two have made their objection to that idea fairly clear, don't you? And they're your friends.
Yeah, obviously! Nahida...
Then let's put that discussion to the side for now. Least up today can be a trial run. Where we go from here will depend on how well we manage to cooperate today.
All right, then I'll do what we agreed.
Good. Go now, and keep in touch.
Nahida, are you...
Yes,
Se der errado, o problema é dela, pai. Não deixa pra lá.
I have my reasons for this decision. In fact, I'm largely doing it for your benefit.
Pra mim.
Yes. As I told you once before, there's information about your twin in Irminsul.
Oh, yeah. Actually, that's the whole reason we came to see you today. So, you have an update on that?
Mm-hmm. You may remember me mentioning that the Fatui had not included your twin's details in the Descender category. This is an extremely important
Eu
point.
lembro disso aí. Eles não tinham... Tá. Ou
It's
seja,
possible that
nasceu
the
em
Fatui have
David.
other information that even I don't know about. And since the Balladeer used to be one of them, he'll be better acquainted with this information than I am. He was granted the power to connect with Irminsul when he almost became the god of a new era. Even though he no longer has the Gnosis, some traces the amount of information in Irminsul is vast beyond description. Sifting through all of it without knowing what to look for would... So I asked the Balladeer to search in Irminsul for any information about the Descenders. He's more familiar with this kind of information, and should be able to find it more quickly.
É uma boa. É uma boa. E se ele mentir pra você, tem essa também, né?
Exactly! Or what if... Paimon just doesn't trust him!
I understand. But sometimes, everything is dictated by which side you're on. How things will go in the future depends on what information he brings back. And Traveler, I know what your heart desires most. Our minds have connected several times before. There is a corner of your heart reserved for an intense longing. As Sumeru's deity, it is my responsibility to be on guard against the Balladeer. But if this
Valeu,
deal
então.
with the Balladeer can give you the answers you've been longing to find, then it's worth it.
É nóis.
It's my pleasure, really. You're Sumeru's hero.
Paimon's still worried about this idea.
I was going to contact you about that, but then you suddenly showed up on your own accord. In fact, I was going to ask you to supervise the Balladeer on my behalf while he carries... Even though he only has a fraction of his full power left, that's still a fraction of a former Harbinger. If you could accompany him, it would put my... Of course,
Deixa
I'll be
comigo.
there to help guide you through Irminsul from the outside.
Certo.
Great. Thank you. Prepare yourselves. I'm going to trip...
Vamos lá. Então ele vai estar lá também junto, né? Ou ele vai estar conectado?
Wow!
Ele vai estar lá.
It looks pretty different here compared to last time. The colors are gentler. Guess that must be because Sumeru's at peace now.
Look at that. hot on my heels. You know, you didn't have to cut your catch-up short just to keep me company. Oh, but I guess you panicked when you realized that I might
Nahida
enter
me enviou
Irminsul
pra ser
ahead
sua
of you.
babá.
Shut your beak, jailbird! No way a prisoner gets to be so smart!
I understand that prisoners have to put up with harassment from the guards. But right now, I'm on temporary release. So maybe...
Sounds like a successful rendezvous. I need to be quite clear about something. In a few moments, you'll be entering into the innermost region of Irminsul.
Ô, louco.
Unlike anywhere else, Irminsul's inner region consists exclusively of torrents of information. You must put aside your differences and be extremely careful as you navigate. I know there are many grievances between you on both sides, but it is essential that you remain calm after entry. This is as much for your own safety as anything else.
Entendi.
Let's call it truce.
Let's cut each other a little slack, shall we? We are, per my agreement with Lesser Lord Kusanali, I'll be at the front. It's my job to lead the way and get rid of any obstacles in our path. All you have to do is keep your pretty eyes open and
Cara, eu já
try not
acabei
to
com
fall
você quando
behind.
você era quase um deus, tá ligado? Hoje você não é nada.
You
But I
sure are
guess-
confident. Paimon will give you that. You make it sound like you're even more experienced at adventure.
If there are no further objections, or did you need some time to mentally prepare yourselves?
É, cara.
Ugh, the snark on this guy.
Foque em fazer seu trabalho.
We can start now.
Irminsul access granted. Initiating connect.
Is this a small sapling? Oh, darn it! Come on, let's catch up with him.
O logo vai aumentar lá mesmo. A gente nunca entrou nela, entrou? Eu não me lembro.
Wow. So this is the inside of Irminsul.
Eu acabei de achar uma mancha na tela aqui, mano. Depois eu vou ver o que é isso. É diferente do que eu imaginava. Como é que é?
Ooh,
O louco, ó.
Paimon's never seen anything like this. And it feels...
Irminsul is closely intertwined with the entirety of Tevat. Every bit of information flowing here means something. Pick your jaws up off the floor. It's time to go.
Ai, ai, o cara, velho. Ele deve descobrir informações sobre os descidos. Vai ser importante.
We're here.
What a huge tree!
Este é o centro da Irminsul. Todas as informações do mundo estão fluindo através dela.
Lesser Lord Kusanali,
Good, you made it. Are you?
ready when you are.
Then please begin. Preparing to access cognitive currents.
The Balladeer's actually doing what Nahida tells him. Guess he must want to stay alive.
Então, pai, eu não sei se você ouviu, mas a Nahida falou que ele está fraquíssimo e sem poder praticamente. Então, ele não tem muita escolha, não, entendeu? Quer dizer, ele vai se conectar com a árvore agora. Talvez o poder que ele tenha, que é fraco ainda, se ele quiser talvez destruir a árvore agora, que ele tá no centro do coração, tá ligado? Será? Eu acho que não vai fazer isso não, mas... Se fizer, acabou pra todo mundo, a verdade é essa. Ele não está oferecendo nenhuma resistência e ele parece trabalhar bem na linha de frente. Talvez ele tivesse um papel similar a esse dos Fatui. Ele era o terceiro, se não me engano, né? Terceiro dos Fatui? Eu acho que ele era. Primeiro as histórias de Akaba e Suada. Agora é
The
isso.
rest is up to you. If you discover anything at all, make sure to share it with us.
É, não mente não, tá bom?
Will do.
For once, we're the ones with nothing to do.
Esse pai tá perguntando pra árvore como escapar da prisão da Nahida, que ele tá preso com ela. Ela prendeu ele.
Traveler, Paimon, would you like to talk?
Essa é uma conversa telepática.
Yes. I've also invited Paimon to join.
Huh? What the? We can talk to each other inside our heads?
É. Acho que você não quer que perturbemos os Caramaus.
That's part of it. Plus, we're all friends. There's
Paimon's never tried this before. This is great. So, Paimon's been wanting to ask you something. Don't you think the Balladeer's a bit of a walking contradiction? He's always talking...
Ele parece ser excepcional em fazer bicos para os outros.
As I've told you before, there are still some mysteries for him to resolve. Things that are clear as day to me, but that he has yet to. Perhaps today will be the day that he finds some answers.
Isso é sobre o passado dele, as traições e os outros eventos em Inazuma?
Well done. Smart and attentive as always.
Eu acho que não foi ele que matou o pessoal do clã lá não, das espadas não. Acho que foi a Shogun Raiden que estava atrás dele para eliminar ele, porque ele é uma marionete que não funcionou, né? E acabou levando o pessoal lá. Na verdade, eu tive um vislumbre de algumas coisas quando encontrei Hypatia em Pardes de Ai. Você compartilha o que viu na mente de Scaramouche?
So, you made contact with that part of his mind. Well,
Então,
it's true.
traição da Shogun
Betrayal
Raiden.
turned the Balladeer in-
Paimon thought nothing could get under that guy's skin. Turns out, he can get hurt.
Everyone has a history, Paimon. Even if you're a puppet created by the Electro Archon.
Speaking of puppets, we ran into two people at the Academia today talking about an essay. Turns out their topic was about the Tatarasuna incident.
If you mean the mysterious events, the Kabuki Mono and so on, yes.
Opa, fala aí, oi.
Really? Because from what they were saying, it sounded like lots of Tatarasuna's history is still unexplained. And most of the information we have now is...
Você conta nada sobre a história, tomara que ela esclareça.
Oh, how interesting. Those two managed to deduce quite...
So the Gese got it right?
Well, they guessed right about one thing. Tatarasuna...
Must be a riveting conversation you three are having. Funny how all the good ones happen when I'm not involved.
Tá.
What makes...
Don't insult me. You're having a private conversation without me. Obviously, I must be the topic of said conversation.
Nós temos todo o direito de manter certas coisas confidenciais.
Of course you do. You can't have your prisoner knowing too much.
So,
Still looking. Don't get your hopes up, though. You and your twin come from outside this world. It wouldn't surprise me if there was nothing on either of you in Irminsul at all.
Tá, faz sentido o que ele falou aqui, né? Mas ela é uma... Falaram que minha irmã nasceu em Teyvat. Vamos ver isso aí.
wait! How did you know about that?
It's not like we've never met before. And anyway, you're world famous. It'd be more
Obrigado.
surprising if I didn't know a few things about you.
Finalmente. Cara, conversa que você é trabalho duro, mas sua atividade é melhor do que eu esperava.
Right now, we have to keep the peace. I'm not interested in creating more misery for myself. And, huh? Wait.
Fala.
This light. It looks similar to those saplings.
Anonymous data.
Hey, don't you forget the agreement. You have to share it with us.
Shh. Just wait.
Mr. Niwa, are you certain this is worth the risk? We are talking about Tatarasuna's furnace, after all. It may not pay to act rashly.
Ih, rapaz. Ele tá pesquisando sobre a história dele? Será? Que isso aqui faz parte da história dele.
There's no one else who can enter the furnace. It has to be me.
Tá.
Is that so? Well, since...
It's...
Esse nome Diva, ele era o homem no comando de Tatarasuna. Além disso, ele pertence à linhagem de artes e Shin. Sim, eu li isso aí no texto lá, gigante.
Whoa!
Nós vamos pra lá, é isso mesmo? Dá pra ir pra lá? É possível.
I have been in Tatarasuna for some time now. You have shown me great hospitality, as has Mikoshi Nagamasa, and indeed, everyone else. Under your leadership, Tatarasuna is a warm, welcoming place. like a giant village. People are gainfully employed. Their lives have... As I understand, the Raiden Shogun has, in recent years, eliminated much of the evil that plagued Inazuma. As for Tatarasuna, it was originally established as a means of safely disposing. The forging industry with crystal marrow as a raw material has since flourished, giving rise to generations of swordsmiths. Some world-renowned skills, blood, dreams. Every smith brought into this trade looks to find their purpose between steel and blade. That is why you accepted the proposal.
Yes, well, were it not for you coming
ele é
to
o Niba.
Inazuma and happening to make Akame's acquaintance, the two of you never would have joined forces. And he would be the first to admit that there's no way he could have revolutionized our forging process like this on his own. At least not on the same timescale.
Ele é o líder.
You allowed Akame to take all the credit for a method that you jointly developed. He sold it to me. And now, every piece of ore here is even now, you remain one of Tatarasuna's key consultants, working right here alongside us. I believe it is you.
You flatter me. From the outset, I saw
Estir.
much that was commendable in the forging industry of Inazuma. And it has been my great honor to befriend you all.
Esse nome eu não li nenhuma vez nos textos lá. Estir.
So you say, Escher. But is this really the truth?
Por isso que deve ser arquivos anônimos que o cara falou, né? O Scaramouche falou.
My good sir, what do you...
I tried to resist thinking it was all connected. Because I didn't want to speculate. And I didn't want to believe that things could... What have we gained from adopting your new technology? Ominous black smoke? Mounting production problems? Worker fatigue and casualties are up and continuing to rise at an alarming rate.
Essa fumaça preta deve ser a que eliminou o pessoal do barco que estava na história.
And recently, as you well know, someone died because of that strange filth inside the furnace. We've kept the truth. None of the people who went out to get help have come back. Now, our mutual friend, the Kabuki Mono, is taking the Golden Feather to Narukami Island to seek an audience with Shogun. This is our last hope.
Kabuki Mono e o Scaramouche.
But that doesn't faze you, does it, Escher? Nothing does. Otherwise, why would you still be standing there with that smile on your face?
I'm just surprised that you finally chose to be so sincere. I'm sure you've been harboring these suspicions for
Esse é o
quite some time.
esse é o que causou. Não foi o Shogun Raiden?
Mikoshi Nagamasa may have noticed that there was one common denominator among all these events. Namely you, Escher.
After all, Nagamasa is the adopted son of Mikoshi Torachiyo, the yokai struck down by the Shogun's own hand. If he truly seeks to redeem his family's honor,
You're well informed on the subtleties of his situation for a mechanic all the way from Fontaine. Are you sure you're not a little overqualified?
Why, Mr.
Ele é um
Miwa,
mecânico de
are you
Fontaine.
suggesting I find a job as a diplomat? Sadly, I am so very attached to my craft.
Enough, Escher. I'm here because an evil force is raging inside the furnace. And someone needs to take your new device inside the high-risk zone so we can absorb it and put an end to the problem. I'm in charge here. And I'm about to take some responsibility and head inside. Probably to my death. But what about you?
Judging from the look in your eyes, you don't...
Drop the act! We're past that now. Whoever you are, it looks like you're planned to I just want to know what you're still doing here. What's left? Don't you have all your answers by now?
Honestly, I'm just waiting for the right moment. A moment like this, where you finish talking and I stop you from entering the furnace.
You...
You're a little smarter than I initially gave you credit for. I thought I'd disguised myself exceptionally well. at least for the first few days. But to my surprise, you had... It's a long journey from Inazuma to Fontaine, but that didn't stop them. Eventually, they managed to confirm that Escher was an alias, and that and yet, despite all of that, you still fail to realize my true identity, and what I seek in Tatarasuna.
Did you really think you would be able to see through my...
If you kill me, there's no one who can get inside the furnace. So you're really...
Oh, but you're quite wrong. There is one other person. Some may not see him as a person, but you told him yourself.
Whoever you're working for won't get away with this. They'll be found out. But... this makes no sense. What are you really trying to accomplish?
It's no trouble at all. Patience is a virtue which I have in abundance. This is all. If you must know, I'm happy to divulge my true identity. I'm a Fatui Harbinger. Call me the Doctor.
É ele mesmo, tipo ele mesmo, né? Sem a máscara.
The Fatui? Who?
Just to create a minor inconvenience for you.
That's it. That's why you gave us your cursed technology? Just to...
Look how even the righteous soul is filled with venom when faced with its demise. My device functions precisely as you say. It is the only chance you have of preventing a catastrophe and keeping the truth from the out. It is easier for a person to be possessed by evil spirits when they are filled with hate. So give in to your fury. I want to see what happens when a malevolent heart is placed into an unsuspecting puppet. Make no mistake, even without you, that pure, innocent puppet would only end up being used by someone else instead. What other reason would a human have for befriending one who is not of our kind?
Então ele é quem vai corromper o Scaramouche.
If you give him my heart, tell him that both Nagamasa
Colocar o coração dele.
see him as one
E,
of us.
e o Scaramouche está descobrindo agora toda a verdade. Está descobrindo que ele se tornou aquela coisa ruim por causa do Dr. e dos fatos. E olha a loucura. Scaramouche, o terceiro mensageiro dos fatos, acho que é o terceiro. Com certeza vai ficar contra os fatos agora. Não é possível que ele vai estar do lado dos fatos e ainda depois disso aí.
He has nothing to prove to anyone. Because not everyone.
What a beautiful way to see the world. It almost makes me feel a little guilty.
Então não
Out of
foi
respect for you, I shall redefine myself.
a Shogun que mandou a fumaça para destruir o Scaramouche, não. O Scaramouche só foi abandonado mesmo. Aí pegaram ele para criar. Esse cara que tá no chão pegou ele para criar. Essa fumaça veio com esse cara, com o Dottori. Mano, os fatos e acabou com o Scaramouche. Na verdade, aqui é o início do plano, né? Aqui provavelmente é o início do plano de criar um deus, né? Enfim, vamos ver.
Think of me as a monster or a demon, if you wish. At least this way your death is not a consequence of your own folly turning you into an easy target. I say, Mr. Niwa, let's see what happens. Will your puppet friend become a human? No, that will prove... Mr. Niwa, already dead.
Mano, os caras mal descobriu tudo, velho. Olha aí, mano.
Jester, I have completed the task you gave me. Creating a gap and infiltrating Inazuma's inner workings. What fun it was.
Bobo da corte. Concluí a missão que você me encarregou. Quem é bobo da corte, hein? Quero uma brecha me infiltrar no funcionamento interno de Inazuma.
I'd like to introduce a puppet to you. If he proves useful, let's make him our newest comrade.
É, aqui.
And if not,
Aqui ele ainda não tinha um plano de transformar ele em Deus, não. Não tinha um plano de transformar ele em Deus ainda não. Mano, os caras mal descobriu isso tudo agora.
Hey, are you alright?
Dottore.
Coringou, hein? Coringou legal agora.
Good. Good.
Was that the doctor? Did he turn into a mechanic from Fontaine?
Ele estava por trás do incidente da Tarasuna, exatamente.
But why did we see things from his perspective?
When I touched the doctor to confirm whether he'd eliminated all his segments, I read this memory in his mind. You have to admit, it must be the truth.
Tá, eliminar os segmentos é que a Narita fez um acordo com o doutor, né? Vocês viram na missão lá, onde ela deu a gnose para ele e ele destruiu todos os segmentos dele. Ela pegou um segmento, que ele tinha feito várias cópias dele pelo mundo, né? Pelos mundos. Aí pegou um segmento e viu a memória desse segmento.
Maybe so, but it means nothing.
Cara, isso tá de brincadeira.
Does it? But this memory shows that Niwa
Exatamente.
didn't betray you. He never meant for you to be the one to take the device into the furnace.
Quem ferrou você foi o próprio fato, hein, parceiro? Doutori.
You know very well what that means. Even more so.
Essa traição foi uma mentira que ele acreditou por centenas de anos. Isso foi parte do experimento do Doutori. Se a traição nunca aconteceu, ela existiu apenas na imaginação dele. Mas onde isso o deixa?
Let's give him some space. He looks really mad. Paimon doesn't
Vamos
wanna
ficar
You
ali.
need to give him some time to process his emotions.
Tá.
Paimon's still confused about the Tatarasuna incident. So, the doctor was behind it.
Nobody has ever deceived you like that, Paimon. It's natural that you find it difficult to... So now you have the complete picture. Katsuragi took the Kabuki Mono to live with the people of Tatarasuna. Later, the doctor showed up, disguised as a mechanic from Fontaine. And that's when the
Kabuki Mono é
trouble
o
began.
Scaramouche.
It was all a horrific experiment planned by the doctor. Everything he did was just to plant seeds of disaster in Inazuma. Of all the unwitting participants in the doctor's experiment, the Balladeer became the main test subject. After the events you just saw in that memory, the doctor put Niwa's heart into the device and handed it to the Balladeer. Then, he instructed him to enter the furnace and absorb all the filth caused by... The load was far beyond what he expected, but the Balladeer survived. He left the furnace in sheer exhaustion and said to the mechanic, "This device seems to have protected..." The mechanic answered, "Niwa fled this place for fear of punishment, but he left you a gift. He said it's the one thing that you've been looking for." He took it straight from the chest of one of his innocents. The mechanic removed the withered heart from the device as he spoke. The Balladeer was stunned that such unthinkable cruelty had brought him the thing he'd been longing for his entire life. A heart acquired through cold-blooded murder is a cursed thing, but it has protected him from the... He thought Niwa had completely betrayed him, and yet this very betrayal had ensured his survival. Overwhelmed with anger and sorrow, the Balladeer...
Holy moly. So the doctor killed an innocent man and pinned everything on the...
Se tá ele abandonado por um amigo próximo é certamente causa para grande ressentimento. Agora sabemos o que estava por trás da decisão dele de se vingar de Raiden Gokaden 100 anos atrás. Mas isso significa que a vingança foi a decisão correta.
Yes. Only if he understands this can he choose a new path forward.
Então ela não quer que ele tente se vingar do Dottore. Então se ele não tentar se vingar do Dottore, ele não é mais Scaramouche, sabe? Ele não... Sabe, não é mais do mal. Mas se ele quiser se vingar, não vou culpar não, a verdade é essa.
Dottore, you brazen-faced... Niwa didn't run from justice. You killed him.
Um pouco depois... Esse facecam travou, galera. Tô aqui há mais de 1 hora já. Tá? Talvez a facecam tenha travado, porque eu já tô aqui há mais de 1 hora.
Hey, you alright? That's a scary expression.
Are you worried about me? If we didn't have such a history, I'd almost think that qualifies me to be your friend.
Nós apenas queremos garantir que isso não afete o plano.
It won't. I'll keep my end of the deal.
Hey, are you investigating the stuff we want to know about?
That's why we're here. But unfortunately, there's no information about the Descenders in Irminsul.
Entendi.
Even if you can't find anything, that seems to confirm it. Irminsul does not keep records on the Descenders. Anyone who comes from beyond this world is not counted
Ué,
as part
então...
of that.
Então minha irmã não nasceu em Teyvat, não, ué.
Oh, does that mean we have to leave empty-handed?
Era de se esperar, ainda assim, obrigado.
Don't thank me just yet. You look really upset. Well, since Irminsul was a dead end, I guess I can share some other
Fala aí,
info
cara.
that might
Os
interest
fatos
you.
traiu você. Agora você pode falar tudo deles. Fala aí, fala aí.
The reason why there are records about your sister in Irminsul. It might have something to do with Conria. Apparently, Conria was her first destination when she arrived in this world.
Tá.
Plus, she only came to this world because the heavens responded to the summoning.
Ela apenas veio a este mundo porque os céus responderam quando invocados. Na verdade, fomos pegos lá por uma mulher maluca que prendeu ela. Pegou ela e prendeu nós 500 anos.
The heavens responded?
The Jester told me this himself. You can take his word on this. He was a royal mage in Conria, and lived with your sister for a time.
Bobo da corte. Todo jogo que eu jogo tem que ter um bobo da corte que causa problema. É brincadeira. Ele era um mago real em Conria e vivia com sua irmã por um tempo. Bobo da corte, outro mensageiro?
I don't know the details. It's up to you whether you want to believe me. All I can say is, I wouldn't lie. Did you get all that, Lesser Lord Kusanali?
Yes. Astonishing news.
Does this info count towards my mission? It wasn't from Irminsul, but what?
Very valuable.
Mas só isso daí é esquisitão, hein?
Good. In that case, I'll take some time for myself now.
Ele tá cheio de ódio, ele vai querer se vingar do Dottore, meu parceiro. Ele não é bonzinho ainda não. Mas eu não culpo ele de se vingar do Dottore não, tá bom? Eu não culpo.
What have you done?
Ué,
Lesser Lord Kusanali was right. My power's all but completely spent. Even if I use all of the divine power left in me, I can't sustain this shield. I shared a secret with you, and now you owe me. So in return, I'd like you to answer a question
o
for
que
me.
você quer saber?
Give me your hand.
Quer saber sobre a Shogun, talvez?
Can you hear my voice inside your head?
Você está tentando fazer uma lavagem cerebral em mim?
No, I can't do anything like that anymore. At most, All I can do is exchange a few words with you. So tell me, in this world, is it possible to change the past?
Voltar no tempo que ele fala? Acho que não. Por que você perguntaria isso?
Done.
Huh? What the? What happened? Paimon only saw you hold hands for a second.
Nothing. I was just thanking him for helping me.
Ih, rapaz. Voltar no tempo, ele voltar no plano de ser um deus? Eu acho que não é isso. Acho que é voltar no tempo pra ele não causar problema que ele causou na vila lá, da Tarasuna lá. Ele me viu hesitar, mas isso foi porque eu sei sobre a Lorde Maior Rukkhadevata.
So long.
Ou eu não apertei nada não.
I suggest you get yourselves out of here quickly.
Eu não apertei nada, velho. Sugiro que vocês saiam rapidamente.
Where are you going? Hey, wait up! Didn't you say not to go running off?
Você precisa deter ele.
Fast reaction time. But I don't think we'll be seeing each other again. From this day forth, the names Balladeer and Kabukimono will cease to exist.
Mudar o passado? Ele vai se matar, será? Antes de chegar na vila?
Those who died in Tatarasuna because of me deserve another chance at life.
Eita, o que ele vai fazer? Vai se sacrificar, quer ver?
Hey, Balladeer! Don't do anything stupid!
You know, I never did like insects. Hordes of the puny things swarming together can be a real nuisance. And I enjoy nothing more than to stamp them out like the pests they are. But if a colony of harmless ants isn't threatening anyone, I guess they deserve to be left alone. Luckily, everything can be set right.
E vai fazer alguma coisa, voltar no tempo e fazer alguma coisa.
Balladeer! Balladeer! Uh-oh, he disappeared. Come on, we gotta...
O que há de errado?
What do we... Paimon was, talking? Huh.
Você estava ficando tão preocupada com a situação dos Scaramote que você começou a listar comidas.
Is that a food too?
Errou, já se apagou.
Weird
Ele
name,
já se
though.
apagou da história. Bom, estamos vivos. Só eu lembro de novo. Só eu lembro de várias coisas. É o que o Zongli falou na missão lendária do Zongli. Eu vou ser uma enciclopédia ambulante. Eu vou saber de tudo. Só eu vou saber. Fala de nós, na verdade é. Pai não se lembra. Ele conseguiu. Mas como ele conseguiu?
What's wrong? Your eyes are like saucers. Was it something
Não é
bad?
nada.
So, the Balladeer. Is that someone's...
Se isso está mesmo acontecendo, eu preciso saber o que mais mudou realmente. Porque, mano, afetou Inazuma lá, afetou um monte de coisa, velho. Ele nunca existiu. Afetou a Shogun Raiden na criação de clãs por causa da espada, na criação de marionetes.
Okay, sure. Where are we going?
Eu quero voltar para exatamente voltar para Inazuma.
Fine by Paimon, but is everything okay?
Vamos para lá. Ah. Que loucura, velho. A valsa da destruição. Pera aí, o mapa não mudou, mudou? Provavelmente não. Não afetou o mapa, não. Bom, próximo vídeo a gente segue. Eu não vou nem fazer missão diária lá, tá bom? Pra não ativar sem querer. Mano, que loucura. Causou uma série de consequências esperadas desde a invenção e apenas você está ciente disso. Próximo vídeo a gente segue, tá bom? É isso, aqui é 1h25, deve ter muito corte aí pra vocês. Mas ele se apagou da história. O fim do Escaramujo. Espero que vocês tenham gostado, galera. Se puder, cala a boca aí, mano. Deixar o like, muito obrigado. E até o próximo vídeo.